If you've seen those. And he also came up with Nick Young's outfit. So give it up for Bob Myers. Bob and Steve, step front and center here for a sec. Now Steve Kerr, you see, is this well-spoken, humble, incredibly bright person. But the first parade we ever had, he immediately said, "None of you have parade experience. Back off and let me handle everything." He's been through 8 of these now. The ring's only not in the pinkies. Are those the last 2 that you have to grab?
Toes. I think I'm going to go with the toes instead.
Put this year in perspective. You've called it the most difficult of the 3. Why so? And just a couple markers for this season.
It was difficult because we've been doing it for a few years now, and it just it's tougher as you go along. And so the journey was a long one, but these guys were amazing. They turned it up during the playoffs, and just the competitive fight they have is incredible. And the last couple of months made it all worth it.
Now for Bob Myers, 2-time Executive of the Year, 3 championships, and a 3-week-old baby. And the question is, when did you ever have time to have a baby?
Halftime of Game 3 of the... That's actually when I got the text. We were up against Houston. My wife said, "You think you're going to win?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "All right, let's just have the baby now." So...
But when you think of being the Executive of the Year, I always wondered, how do you draft these guys? How do you find these guys? How do you put this team together and work so well with Steve? And then I heard you tell Kevin Durant he can have whatever contract he wants next year.
Yeah, that was just for the media. He can't have anything like that at all.
Mid-level.
Yeah, mid-level, behind closed doors.
Because I think last year he told Steph he could have any contract he wants too.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, that was different. He's been here from the run, the way before days. He's earned it.
And there ended the Warriors' cohesion right there.
So much chemistry.
That's when it began. The first Fisher.
Put it in perspective, Bob, as a Bay Area guy, seeing this success after 17 out of 18 years not making the playoffs, to see the greatest 4-year run, 328 and 83. And do you ever sit back, take a deep breath? I asked Joe this, and just marvel at that success?
I wish I did that more. I mean, growing up here, it's 1 championship would have been enough for our, I don't know how you guys feel, but I never thought we'd have any parades. Joe did, though. Joe called it. I remember watching Joe on TV. He said, "We're going to add to that lonely banner." And I kind of thought, no, we're not. But we've added 3, which is hard to believe.
Steve, you said this year was so difficult, not only with injuries, but you kept telling the guys kind of the same thing. It's, hey, we don't turn the ball over. Let's play better defense. Let's defend this championship. And they might have said, "We've heard from you enough." So you let them coach 1 game. That was pretty phenomenal in its own right. They coached themselves very well. How did you gather this for the parade push? Because the playoff basketball looked like elite Warrior basketball that we've become accustomed to.
Well, these guys, they're almost like a racehorse that knows it's the home stretch, and the playoffs started, and I knew we were going to be okay. The first game of the playoffs against San Antonio, the defense was unbelievable, and that's the key to our team. So what they did in terms of bringing the energy and the competitiveness from the start in the playoffs just turned everything around.
All right, guys, give a final shout out to the fans of Dub Nation.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.